Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a spectacular weekend, I believe, from beginning to end. It really, and more important and more special than all the presenters and speakers, and there were so many of them and so many amazing presentations, were all of you who came out to spend the time to be here even on a Sunday morning when life was supposed to get back to things, to here to continue the inspiration, of course, the activation, to become active. Without further ado, he's been here before at the Project Inspire Convention. He's an inspiration to us all. He himself is involved as the rabbi of the Safra Synagogue in Manhattan, and has been involved in so many projects, outreach projects around the world. It's a great honor to invite, once again, to re-invite to the Project Inspire Convention, Rabbi Shlomo Farhi.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here. And after hearing from Yossi what you guys have been able to accomplish and hear and feel over this past Shabbat, I'm truly jealous. Kinat sofrim tarbeh chokhmah. Sometimes I'm not sure what I want to say, and sometimes I have so much that I want to say that I kind of wish my shul let me get out for Shabbat more, so that I could have been here to speak to you at least a couple of times. But I'm going to try and squeeze it all in to the time that they've given me today before you wheel the food out into your van. I had this feeling, Yossi, the reason the guy was wheeling the food out, because he felt he didn't get enough food over Shabbat. That was how he was getting his money worth. That was the feeling over there. We always have to judge people favorably, so that's what's going on in my mind. Same feeling why people have when they take soaps and shampoos from hotels to then bring home and never open in your own bathroom, to then take more when you go to the hotel. And you tell your wife, why? We didn't open the ones that we had, just in case. Thinking of creating a Mashiach suitcase just filled with tiny tubes of toothpaste. Let's begin. When we think about Purim, oftentimes we think about the salvation, the save, how things were fixed. And what's interesting to me is that as someone who's been doing this for a minute and a half, I know Charlie probably feels the same way, one of my very closest friends. You know, a lot of times you feel when you're sitting with somebody, I wish that you came to ask me this question before you were in the problem. I wish we weren't solving this issue. Instead, we were avoiding it to begin with. So in understanding the story of Purim, so much time goes into an effort and focus goes into understanding the save. But I don't know if enough time goes into understanding how we could have avoided the problem to begin with. I'll start with the Gemara. The Gemara says, they came to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and they asked him, why did the Jews deserve that they should have Haman stand up against them and wipe them out? I mean, thank God we're saved in the 90th minute. But why? Why did we get to that place? When we were facing Amalek, we know it was from Refidim. Rafu yedehem, their hands had become weak. They'd lowered their standards in Torah and mitzvot. But what did the Jews do that allowed Amalek to come knocking? What happened? And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai answers, because they enjoyed the seudah of Achashverosh. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, that doesn't sound like it's worth a national karet. What was wrong with the seudah? Some opinions hold that the food was even kosher. Was it the yayin nesech? Find that hard to believe. According to some opinions as well, it wasn't even that. They got mashkichim to pour the wine. So what could have been the problem? And if the problem was eating or drinking, it should have said that they ate or they drank. The key is in understanding that it says shenehenu, that they enjoyed it. And why was Hashem denying them that enjoyment? What was so wrong about their enjoyment of that Seudah? My friends, I think there's something here that's unbelievable. And the answer is actually very simple. We are told that at the Seudah, they had the vessels of the Beit HaMikdash. One might think, therefore the punishment was because they were being mo'el. It was me'ilah behekdesh. They were using the vessels of the temple. No. That's not it. Then it should have said that they were mo'el in the vessels of the temple, of the Beit HaMikdash. Doesn't say that. My friends, there's something here. Shenehenu mesudato shelo torasha. That Achashverosh was taking out the vessels of the temple because he thought he understood from Haman that the 70 years of Galut were over, and God's promise that he would redeem the Jewish people and bring them back to Eretz Israel, rebuild the Beit HaMikdash, Mashiach, all of that, it was not true. It was never going to happen. And if it was never going to happen, we may as well use the temple, the Kelim, Mikelim Shonim. So Achashverosh brings them out. But when the Jews came, instead of seeing that they would not be redeemed, instead of seeing that they wouldn't be the Jewish people anymore, they rejoiced. It's like that famous joke. Jewish person meets with Hashem, and he says, Hashem, is it true we're the chosen people? And Hashem says, yes. And he says, Oy, could you choose someone else for a while? The anti-Semitism, the attacks for being Jewish people. Could you choose someone else? Holocaust, pogroms, Cossacks. My friends, Am Yisrael, in the throes of Galut, they felt, if we're not being redeemed, if Hashem's not taking us back, if maybe He's left us alone, there was a certain hana'ah that they had, that they were not going home, that they were not the Jews anymore. My friends, I want to share with you what I believe is the source of that almost Holocaust. You know, if you judge by people's social media profiles or some articles that you find online, one could be forgiven for thinking that the most important thing that a person has to do for parnasah is put a key in a challah. I'm not here to tell you that you should not put keys in challahs. One year, I wanted to put an entire key ring into my challahs. But I just feel that that's probably something that you do on top of emunah in Hashem. I think. Like if you're an atheist, but bought a challah and a key, does that work? I think emunah comes before. Probably prayer, tefillah, comes before a shlisel in a challah, probably. Are we on the same page? But my friends, there's something that I believe is even more elemental than that. More elemental than davening. And we say it every single day. The eyes of every living being, they turn to you, God, right, to give them in order they should have. Ochlam be'ito. Poteach et yadecha. Hashem, you open up your hand, umazbia lechol chai ratzon, and you give every living being what they need. What does it take to get God to give you everything you need in this life? Ratzon, whatever you want. What does it take? It doesn't say, Poteach et yadecha umazbia lechol tzadik ratzon. It doesn't say lechol tamid chacham, lechol kolel yungerman. It doesn't say lechol baal chesed. What does it say? Lechol chai. The only thing you need in order to get sustenance from God is what? Bracha from God is what? You just need to be alive. My friends, dogs get food from Hashem. Mosquitoes, buffet. I wish I hated rish'ut as much as I hate mosquitoes. But Hashem provides for every living being. How come every living being doesn't need a job, and only the smartest of all living beings need a job? Right? You ever saw a goldfish, right, who's doing taxes? No. Somehow he manages. You ever saw, right? You ever saw a giraffe in your life? You ever saw a giraffe decide to take on part-time Uber, his head out the sunroof? You ever saw that? You never saw. You ever saw a dog go be a lawyer? Okay, sorry. Why is it that the only being that needs to get a job for Parnassah is the top of the food chain, the smartest of all the animals? And the answer, my friends, is beautiful. The answer is because you know why God gives everybody in this world what they need? Because they are doing their job. What is a dog? A dog is a dog is a dog is a dog. He's doing his job perfectly. Hashem provides him his parnassah, whatever he needs. What is a goldfish doing? That is his job. I just imagine little goldfish sitting with their parents. Parents are very nervous. They're sitting in the principal's office. He just doesn't get it. We keep showing him. There's books on chinuch for goldfish. It's just one page. I don't understand. A goldfish only has one job. It does it well. Only the smartest of human beings could not know how to do their job. And if you're doing your job, you have a purpose in this world, Hashem, He's got you. But the minute you're trying to be something other than what you're supposed to be, what happens? The source of your bracha, your mazal, your life force itself is cut. Because the only reason why you're here, the only reason why you're here, is to do what Hashem wants from you. And if you're not doing that, there's no reason for you to be here. You guys remember the PPP loans during COVID? Imagine a guy is working for a law firm, and the only thing he does is PPP loans. After COVID, there's no reason for them to keep him. Because the thing he's doing, there's no parnassah in the thing if you don't have a job. My friends, that's the Seudah of Achashverosh. The Jewish people for a minute said, oh, you know something? We don't have to be Jews. We'll just be Persians. To be clear, I'm not referring to Persian Jews. I don't need death threats from your community in Great Neck. Relax. We'll just be like everybody else. But if you're everybody else and you're not you, you have no zchut kiyum. And then every man, woman, and child is not killed, but they have no reason to be able to live. That's the power. Those are the keys that we handed to Haman. Let me show you how this plays out in the Megillah, and then you'll know why I'm ranting about this morning. Esther goes into the palace. She's very afraid. She doesn't know what's going on. Mordechai tells her what's going on. She feels terrible. He says, you need to go into the king. She says, I can't. I haven't been called. You know that means a death sentence. Mordechai says, beautiful language, Al tedami benavshech. Don't think that you're safe. Limalet bet hamelech, to escape to the palace from all the Jews. Ki macharesh tacharishi, if you remain quiet. Be'et hazot, in this time, revach v'atzala yamod la'Yehudim makom acher. The Jewish people will be saved another way. And you and your father's house will be destroyed. Who knows if for a time like this is not the reason why you came to this position? My friends, I'm looking at this, and it makes, for a second, it gives you goosebumps. What is Esther saying? What is she saying to her uncle? Or maybe, according to another opinion, to her husband? Someone who sat outside the door every single day. Mordechai loves Esther. He raised her. Esther says, Mordechai, I'm afraid. He's going to kill me. I don't know what you would say if your daughter said this to you. But I know I wouldn't say to her, well, if you don't go, you're just going to die. Everyone, your whole family. Who talks like that? What is Mordechai saying? Where's his compassion? Where's his empathy? The answer is, Mordechai is telling Esther, out of love and concern. What is a good frum Jewish girl? Why was she kidnapped? Why was she taken? Why was she put in the palace? We didn't know until now. But now we know why you are where you are. And Esther, if you hide in your house and you don't do what you're supposed to do, at ubet avich tovedu, your whole existence will be cut short, because we get our beracha in this life from doing what we are uniquely supposed to do. And is it ever been more obvious in the history of the world what you were supposed to do in this moment than Esther in the palace of the king with the decree and the life of the Jews hanging in the balance? My friends, the Mesilat Yesharim in his opening line says something incredible. He says that a person needs to know, and it needs to be clear to them, Ma chovato be'olamo, what is his responsibility in his world. Now, in English, we could have said it different. The Vilna Gaon says that there's not one single extra word. Everything is exactly as it's supposed to be. Ma chovato be'olamo. You know what that means? What is your responsibility in your world? Not as what the responsibility of a Jew, but what is your responsibility in your world? My friends, when I saw the 6 different options that they prepared on the walls, I understood what the Mesilat Yesharim was talking about. What is your job in your world? If God put Esther in the palace, it's because she's supposed to use the palace. And your job with your world, finally someone has done what Project Inspire is doing. They've made you your chovah without you ever needing to leave your world. And that, my friends, is the source of all of your beracha. It's asking you, what do you have to give to this great mission? Your brothers and sisters are dying. My friends, if anyone here saw the pshat of the Malbim, it would shake you to your very bones. The Malbim says that there are 2 different points. There's a decree that goes out, and Mordechai is going out alone, crying in the streets. How come all the other Jews aren't crying and kvetching? How come only Mordechai? He gets to the palace. Esther's like, what's going on? How did she not know? Was she not on the WhatsApp status of the Jewish people? How did she not know what was going on? Says the Malbim, there were 2 decrees. One decree was sealed for the 13th day of Adar. Don't open it until then. The second decree only said one line. It said, everybody in every country, be prepared for the 13th day of Adar. Be prepared for war. But it didn't say against who. Unbelievable chidush of the Malbim. Mordechai, because he knew. He goes out, tells everybody what's going on. But without Mordechai, they would have gotten to that day. Everyone would have been taken by surprise. Esther, therefore, doesn't know. My friends, I started shaking when I saw this. Because the Malbim reminds me of October 6th, where we're all sitting and celebrating and so happy. In our homes, Sukkot, getting ready, Simchat Torah, unbelievable, so much joy, not knowing what was about to take place. The ason that was heading our way, the sadness, the pain, the destruction, the death. We had no idea it was coming. There was a gezerah, it was sealed, it was signed, it was delivered, and we had no idea. The Jews had no idea until Mordechai told them. My friends, not only October 6th, but March 9th. There is a war out there trying to destroy all of the Jewish people, selling them liberal attitudes, selling them anything but Judaism. And people are being robbed. I had a young man in my house this Friday night at the Shabbat table. He's very inspired. He has no ideas. He takes out his phone at the Shabbat table and he says, this is amazing. Could you recommend some books I could read about, getting more connected to Judaism? He wants to write them down on his phone. I said, start with the 39 Melachot. I did not say that. I did not say that. Although, whoever made that book that was made for children should just know that they use that book with all of the pictures in every kollel that's learning Shabbat, by the way. Because the job that they did on that sefer, the 39 melachot with the drawing, with the deoraitas and the drabanans and the notes in the back, is imperative for clarity in the sugyot. It's unbelievable. My friends, he's starving for it, but he doesn't know because someone took it from him. A war has been declared, but they haven't said against who. You have the opportunity. You think to yourself, you know what? I don't know. Let the guy go on an Aish program. Let him go on an Olami program. I have a secret for you. Programs are not Mikarev Jews. People are Mikarev Jews. I don't know what to say to the guy. I didn't study, theology, Christianity. I don't know what to say. By the way, every frum person thinks that when a Jewish person comes to their house, they need to know how to disprove Christianity. I have news for you. That's not the struggle. It's not that or this. It's Instagram or Judaism. It's J Street or Judaism. It's Wall Street or Judaism. So if you think you need to argue with them, Kiruv is not about arguments. It's about connections. You never learned how to talk dam al hashiv. Okay, gotcha. Did you learn how to make challah? You know how many Jews came back to Judaism because of challah? I want to share with you a beautiful line. The pasuk says, by Avraham Avinu, he didn't just believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He brought people in. He had them for meals. He sat them underneath his tree. He served them like they were royalty. He didn't judge them for the avodah zarah they brought into his house. Someone asked me, the guy has a phone. I was like, I have eyes. And I said, I made a gzerah shava. He said, what's the gzerah shava? I said, the gzerah shava is that it says by Avraham Avinu, v'rachatzu raglechem, wash off your feet from the avodah zarah, say the chachamim. That's why he was telling him to wash off his feet. He said, what's the gzerah shava? This from guy. I said to him, all the pashkevilin in Eretz Israel, it says an iPhone is equal to avodah zarah. So if he brought in his iPhone, which according to the signs is avodah zarah, he brought it into my home, then I have a lesson to learn from Avraham Avinu, who still welcomed them into his home. I want to share with you the most beautiful pshat in what Avraham Avinu was doing. Now, I have to ask you, was the midah of Avraham Avinu kiruv? What do we know his midah was? Chesed. You've been waiting with that answer for a very long time. I can see that just like popped out. There's certain answers, if you teach long enough, there's certain things that people have heard long enough, many, many times, so they're like waiting for the thing. They're like, so it's not a thing, it's not physical. They're like, it's spiritual. But But that means that chesed is busting out of you. Beautiful. Avram was not a Makarev, but he was also the biggest Makarev. He believed in Hashem so much. His desire to smash idols was so great. And by the way, growing up in the yeshiva world, is that not an expression of our frumkeit? That we want to smash sheker? That we want to say that this is silly and what we have is true? If you feel that inside your bones and you believe in it like Avraham Avinu, you know what you have to do? You must share it. Because how could you see someone who's literally dying in front of you? He doesn't know there's a gezerah on him. He's not sure. He doesn't understand. He's cutting off his children, his children's children. How could you not intervene? Avraham Avinu says, come into my house. Ekra pat lechem. I'm going to get you some bread. Sa'adu libchem. Enjoy. Achar ta'avoru. And then leave. I always was bothered by this. You ever do that? Come for Shabbat lunch, and then at 12 o'clock, leave. You could be honest. You want to do that. I had an uncle who would shut the lights whenever he wanted guests to leave. Oh, look at that. The lights went off. I saw you turn them off. Obviously not talking about Shabbat here. Potato. What is Avram saying? He's the biggest machnis orech ever. Why is he telling them to leave? And I saw the most beautiful pshat. Because what we know is that he would give them food to eat. And then when they had the food to eat, what would he tell them to do? Do birkat hamazon. Avraham Avinu told his guests before they signed on the dotted line, you want to come to Chateau Avraham. Come eat, drink, and then don't do anything else. Don't enroll in yeshiva. Don't keep Shabbat. Don't wear tzitzit. Don't put on tefillin. Just leave. I'm happy to just have you in order to do chesed with you. That's what Judaism is about. Olam chesed yibaneh. You don't have the answers. Your Shabbat table is an answer. You don't have the answers. Your boardroom is an answer. My friends, when Abraham does that, he doesn't make an argument with them, even though he knows how to argue, because he's gone through the cheshbon himself when he first became frum. What does Avram say? Come on over. We have delicious meat and fantastic ugot with even a little bit of mustard. My friends, I want to end by saying this, because the hour is late. How long do I have till Yossi? I don't know what that means. Do we have a chart for immigration you could put right over there? Some people got it. Okay, whatever. You win some, you lose some. The Midrash tells us that when you have a coal, and the coal is about to go out, I don't know if any of you have done this before. You have a coal, it's a fire, it's burned low. All you need to do is you lean in and you just go, and what happens to the coal? Instantly, you see it come back to life. It's amazing. The tiniest breath from someone when a coal is dying is enough to be able to bring it back to a roaring fire. What people don't believe in their heart of hearts is that actually this person sitting in front of me, we think he really doesn't want to be connected to Judaism. What can I do to convince him to join my craziness? That's what people think. I remember hearing from Rabbi Cooper Smith when he would tell people that he used to play hockey, they're like, why did you, from Jews would ask him, like, why would you become from Jews? Well, don't you know what you have? That should not be surprising. It should be surprising that someone doesn't want it or doesn't have it. If you believe that this person is dying to learn more, then you're very happy to share, right? Well, what if you could think that they're dying to know more before they tell you that they're dying to know more? Because that's the real emet. Then you'd share. Then you'd be confident. Then you'd be giving. All you have to do is just blow the tiniest bit on the coal and it springs back to life immediately. My friends, we know that Hatach is called Hatach, but really his name, says the Gemara in Megillah, was Daniel. And why was he called Hatach instead of Daniel? Says Rav, Shechatchuhu migdulato. They cut him down from his Gedulah. And the question is, why was Daniel cut down from his Gedulah? Different opinions. A simple pshat is that, you know what, Achashverosh demoted him. He used to be an advisor to the king, and now all he was a helper to Esther. That's the simple, straightforward pshat. A little more complicated is people say that Am Yisrael chatchuhu migdulato. We cut him down from his greatness. And I want to share with you the pshat of the Meshech Chochmah. The Meshech Chochmah says, why was Daniel considered so great in the eyes of the Jewish people? Everybody knows one thing about Daniel. Misha ana le Daniel, right? It depends on if you're Sephardic or Ashkenaz. Begubad aryavata, in the lion's den, in the lion's pit. Why was Daniel thrown in the lion's pit? Anyone know? Because in the time of Daryavish, they made a decree. And the decree was that for 30 days, no one was allowed to ask for anything from human or God, only the king Daryavish. They wanted to solidify his position as king. So they said, anyone who prays, you know what we're going to do to that person? We're going to throw him in the lion's den. And what happened? Daniel prayed 3 times a day. They threw him in the lion's den. Daniel was great. Says the Meshech Chochmah. But now, Esther is going to ask every one of the Jews to fast for 3 days. To not have food past their lips, not until the night. 3 straight days. If you think you kvetch after a tanis, they don't make kalei tzom times 3. Starving. 3 days. No food, no water. Davening from the depth of their souls. You know what they saw when they were able to do that? They saw that it wasn't just Daniel who could do it. I could do it. I could daven like that. I could risk my life to pray to Hashem. I have emunah like that. Ladies and gentlemen, Higanu, we've reached that point. We are in the generation of Hester Panim like we have never seen Hester Panim before. For 500 days, have we not wondered, where is Hashem? We're living in Hester Panim. So the answer is, look back to Hester Panim and see, how did we solve the problem? In a time where God's name is eliminated from the Megillah, it comes to me and to you to stand up, minar v'ad zaken, nashim v'taf, to do what Hashem wants us to do. And my friends, there is nothing that Hashem wants us to do more in a time of Hester Panim than lech kenos et kol haYehudim. Go get them. Let them fast for 3 days and do teshuvah. Let them call out to God and know who they're calling out to. My friends, I want to share with you an example of this that will touch you, hopefully, and drive you to each one of these beautiful initiatives. Because Project Inspire has prepared 6. But there's not only 6, there's 600. There's not only 600, there's 6,000. There's not only 6,000, there's 600,000 ways. Like the 600,000 souls of the Jews, where every single Jew has their own way, and therefore every single Jew has their own heart to offer. There was a young boy, and I'll end with this. A young boy who's a bit of a troublemaker. You and I both know that not every kid was cut out for school. Unfortunately, some kids, they were born for homeschool. We all know a kid like that. And the only reason why they're not in homeschool, even though they're only cut out for homeschool, is because I was not cut out to give homeschool. If I want to make sure that I don't unalive myself. My friends, this young boy, he's struggling and struggling and struggling in school. He doesn't know what to do. He can't help himself. He's running around. He's a troublemaker. And then one day, his Melamed walks into the Bet Midrash of the yeshiva, and he can smell something interesting, shall we say, in the Bet Midrash. Walking around, smelling, trying to find the source of this wonderful smell. Can't figure it out. They start the tefillah. Finally, they open up the Aron Kodesh for the prayers, for the take out the Sefer Torah. And all of a sudden, out of the Aron Kodesh jumps a goat. I know that some of you think that happens in Sephardic shuls. It doesn't. Racists. Opens, a goat jumps out. And everyone is flipping out, and the Rebbe looks around, and of course he sees his troublemaker extraordinaire right over there in the corner, laughing his head off. Immediately, he tells the boy, "Get out, you're expelled." The boy says, "Thank you." One of the biggest challenges that teachers struggle with is that they don't know how to punish children in a way where the kid thinks that it's also a punishment. So the kid's like, home? That is fantastic. So he leaves. About a week later, the boy comes back, and he walks into the yeshiva, and the Rebbe says, "What are you doing here?" He says, "Oh, I'm back." He says, No, I don't think you understand. Expelled. Not suspended, not vacation, expelled. You're not welcome in the yeshiva. The boy turns to the Rebbe, and he says, "You can't do that. You can't throw me out. You have to ask a Rav. You have to get a psak. You can't just decide to throw me out because it's too much trouble to have me." Anyway, the Rebbe can't believe he's arguing with this kid. Now there's all the other kids are around him, and everyone's getting swept into it. They're arguing back and forth. The Rebbe says, "You know something? I'm going to go to the Rav. I'll explain what this is. He's going to side with me anyway." And this little unbelievable group starts walking through the streets of this village, okay, in Europe, and everyone's following. All the kids are following, and the Rebbe and the guy, and they're still arguing, and they're coming. And I just imagine, by the way, I'm a rabbi, and I'm imagining the rabbi is looking out the window, and he sees the Rebbe, and he sees the biggest troublemaking kid in town, and he sees all the kids surrounding them, and he's thinking to himself what every rabbi is thinking in that moment. Why did I become a rabbi? If you think this every once in a while, don't worry, that's healthy. If you think it every day, get another job. Anyway, they walk in the office, and the rabbi says, "What can I do for you?" And the rabbi explains, and the kid is saying, "Well, I felt bad, and I'm a troublemaker, but I didn't mean to do it." And the Rebbe's like, "He put a goat in the Aron Kodesh with the Sifrei Torah. Who knows what's going on in there? From the smell, I have some guesses. How can we have someone who disrespects the Torah? And the Rav is nodding, and the boy sees, Ki kalta alav hara'a met hamelech. This is not going his way. So he mutters under his breath, like only troublemaking kids do. He mutters under his breath. As the rabbi starts, he says, "Well, did you ask them?" And the Rav says, "Ask them, ask who? I'm the Rav." And the boy with tears in his eyes, he says, "Did you ask my children? Did you ask my grandchildren? I'm a troublemaker. But do my kids not deserve that their father should have had a Jewish education? Do my grandkids not deserve to marry other Jews? Because I did this, because I made this mistake? Did you ask them before you give your ruling?" And the Rav is shook. And he tells the Rebbe, maybe give him 2 more weeks. See if he turns it around. I can bet those messages are, is he done yet? Is he almost finished? I'm in the car. I have the entire lunch buffet. Let's make a clean getaway. That was that level of intensity, notification level. It's unbelievable. Yossi, go stop them. We all need to eat. By the way, every instinct I have as a speaker is like, don't interrupt your narrative, don't interrupt your narrative, don't interrupt your narrative. And then the troublemaking kid that would have put a goat in the Aron Kodesh is like, go for it. The Rav says, give him 2 more weeks. Most of that cheder was wiped out in the war. And this man, whose children became Bnei Torah, whose grandchildren studied in yeshivot, became Rabbanim and Rabbeim themselves, who was given that chance, because he was able to express clearly to the Rav, what about my kids? What about my grandkids? Should they suffer for my mistakes? When you see a Jewish person in front of you, you have an opportunity to invite him for a Shabbat meal. You have an opportunity to sign up for a one-on-one learning. You have an opportunity to introduce them or mentor them on a professional level. You're not sitting with one person. You're sitting with all future generations of that child. Esther also was not a kiruv professional. Nobody else was like Daniel, but on that day we all became Daniels. My friends, you cannot leave this building. We have locked the doors. Until you say, Hineni, I'm here. I got it. Sign me up. If not for 1, for 2. If not for 2, for 3. But it cannot be. Don't think that you will be able to escape because you grew up in a frum house. You're in the Bet HaMelech. Because maybe God put you in the Bet HaMelech, not for you, but for him and all of his children. God doesn't give you strengths, kochot, personality, money, education. He loans them to you for all of Am Yisrael. So this thing, if you try and keep it for yourself, atu betavich tovedu, get out there. Im lo achshav ematai, in a time of Esther panim. We are all Esthers. We are all Daniels. We are all Avram Avinus. And even if we have nothing to say to them, come to my house. Achar ta'avoru. My friends, they've done all of the work. All you have to say is, I'm in. Repeat after me, I'm in. That was the worst ever. Repeat after me. I want 25% off this weekend. I just want to gauge. One more time. I'm in. That's Avram Avinu. Hineni. That's Moshe Rabbeinu. Hineni. And today, that's every single one of us. Thank you so much.